I figured out that they were using a lot of our audition videos to train AI, and it really affected the talent's morale. And I was trying to problem solve, how are we going to fix this situation and save the jobs of the talent that are losing out to AI.
Welcome to the Leader's Mindset, where we bring you conversations with leaders who are making an impact in our businesses and our communities. Today, I'm here with Leenda Nicole. You probably know her better as Leenda Nicole, and she's the founder of both CatheXis Talent and a tech startup called IDify, which we are going to really dive into today. So thanks for being here today, Leenda.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this as I got to know you over social media and learned about all the things you're in and involved in. I really wanted to have this conversation and get it out to everyone. So you were involved in a lot of things before you got into business. Why did you start a talent agency, and where did you come up with the name CatheXis?
So I actually went to school for dietetics, and I was working in a hospital with a bachelor's degree, making $12 an hour. And during that time, I was booking a lot of my friends for modeling gigs because I had done that during college, and it kind of found me. So that's when I decided to start the agency. And the name CatheXis came from a book that my grandpa gave me called The Road Less Traveled, where it talks about the ego, and to love someone is like really doing things that serve them, even if it's not benefiting yourself. And so the investment of energy in a person, object, or idea.
Yeah, and you've certainly invested energy into your clients for the talent agency and helped them get a lot of work. But you started having trouble with that around COVID time, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
so tell us how that experience led you to create IDify.
So before COVID, we were doubling in gross revenue every year. And then during COVID, we were doing a lot of audition videos, but not booking as many talent. So I figured out that they were using a lot of our audition videos to train AI, and it really affected the talent's morale. And I was trying to problem solve, how are we going to fix this situation and save the jobs of the talent that are losing out to AI. So that's how I came up with IDify and licensing their likeness.
Yeah, so people were actually losing work because agencies were just training AIs and using AI in the videos and the commercials, right?
Yes, so we would be doing a lot of commercials for a big brand, or a lot of audition videos for a big brand, and then see a ad come out that's really similar but completely AI. And I was like, they're just using our audition videos, but the talent are not getting paid. So
Yeah, so commercials that looked kind of similar to the people who auditioned and sounded kind of similar to the people who auditioned, but tweaked a little bit through AI.
exactly.
Well, that doesn't seem like it's very nice to the talent to have them audition and then take their name, image, and likeness.
Yes, but luckily there's like slowly laws coming into place to try to protect them against that. SAG just came up with something where talent can request a live audition. So I think those measures will help.
I think that's great. So this is clearly very important if you are a model, or you are an actor, or you are a singer or performer of some kind. But why does this have implications? Why is this important for all of us, whether we're on camera talent or not?
Well, I think soon it's going to be affecting everybody. I mean, there's big hotel chains that are now making it a requirement for their employees to do a training where they have people or AI pretending to be the CEO of companies, like trying to get information from employees. So soon you're not going to be able to tell the difference between a real person and an AI. For example, recently my grandpa just got scammed out of like his whole life savings because someone impersonated a cousin of mine who said he was in jail and he needed money to get out, and someone came and picked up the cash and ran off with it. And then my grandpa called my cousin to check on him, and he's like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, I've heard about this. I've heard, this has been going on for a number of years, with live people doing it, and now AI is doing it. And for a while, AI wasn't very good at it, but now they're Like if your voice is out on the internet somewhere, they only need about, I think, 10 seconds. Is that right? Of you speaking to create a fake phone call of your voice.
Approximately, and as little as 12 photos. So that can easily be taken from public social media accounts. So it's especially important for like political figures and people who, really have a voice in the community for propaganda.
Yeah, and it may not be, people may not be able to affect us with our own name, image, and likeness, but they certainly can affect our loved ones, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I didn't know your grandfather had gone through that. I'd heard a bunch of that. I don't know anybody who's been involved, who's had that happen to them. It's a very cautionary tale.
Oh yeah, they're becoming more common all the time.
Yeah. But you're on the case and you're doing something about it. So what is the solution you've come up with? What is IDify, and what's the big picture of how it protects people?
So essentially, it'll be like car insurance for everybody. Our AI scans the internet for your likeness, and then it checks if it's like originally put out by you, if it's approved by you, and if it's not, then legal goes after the people trying to impersonate you, to end that or litigate it.
Yeah, and you're using blockchain as part of this technology to do the verification of your own identity, right?
Yes, so essentially taking people's likeness, putting it into a vector, and then putting that in the blockchain. So the talent will have complete control over what they agree to and what they're getting paid for.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I think it's something that certainly is going to benefit people who are paid on camera talent or paid voice talent. It's going to benefit people like us who are just doing podcasts and things like that. But it's gonna uh, be a positive impact on everyone to be able to know, hey, somebody's out there using your name, image, and likeness.
And even everyday people who have social media accounts, now they can, make a fake one and put links to porn that you didn't even do. So that's common as well.
Yeah, and what I love about what you're doing is you are creating the tech solution ahead of the government coming up with laws for this. So it'll probably still be the first of these is just starting to come out, these laws that are going to protect people, but there's not really a way, there's not really the technical solution to protect people, but you guys are pulling that together at IDify.
Yeah, and we'll probably be working with the government at some point too, just because everybody's running into this problem. You even have people who are out of prison, like taking tests, and they need to verify that they're real also.
Yeah, it's gonna solve a huge problem. I think it's gonna open up a ton of opportunities. And so you've been working on this for a couple of years. You've got patents, you've got intellectual property. You were starting to get connected with angel investors and tech stars. Folks who watch our show or listen to our show are familiar with tech stars a little bit, but you chose not to apply to tech stars to be part of their incubator accelerator program. Why not?
So when I first met David Cohen, it was at Denver Startup Week, and I was in the audience, and I just asked a question, and the interviewer on stage said, "Oh, it sounds like a proposition. Are you interested?" And then David was like, "Yes, here's my email. Reach out to me, and I'll help you guys get going." And then I reached out to him, and I was super excited. But then he said to apply to the incubator program, and I was like, probably not, just because companies like Uber who did that, it really takes a quality factor out. I think when you're trying to become that big that fast, and it's more about monopolizing the industry, and we really want to tailor it to the talent and just provide a quality service.
Yeah, sometimes the most important thing is to get it right before you try to scale. I know that's not the conventional Silicon Valley wisdom, but sometimes the best thing to do is get it right first.
And that's what I love about my partner Ian, because he's just such an ethical person that it's nice going into business with someone that you really trust.
Yeah, I got to talk to Ian a couple weeks ago as well, and he's going to come on this show. I'm hoping that we're going to air your episode and then his episode the week after. So we're going to get everything you've got to tell us today, and then we're going to get to dive into a little bit more to the tech and the business side with Ian as well. So I'm really excited to have you both on. This is going to be like a great two-parter for our audience.
Yes, he's brilliant. You guys will love him.
And you guys will love him. I got to talk to him for a good bit of time a couple of weeks ago. I'm excited to have him on as well. So you've been interviewing Ian. Ian is your CEO. You found him. You've known him for a while. You've known him before you started this project. But you've been interviewing developers and CTOs for IDify. So what's that been like? Trying to hire technical people when your background is not a technical background.
Well, me and Ian have been doing the interviews together, and some of our board members, like Mehmet, who has the CTO podcast, he actually sat in on one of our interviews and knew one of the CTOs that we were interviewing, so that was pretty cool. It's exciting because I'm learning a lot. It's also crazy to be interviewing someone who like has led billion-dollar companies, and I still have like imposter syndrome trying to like bootstrap the beginnings of a new one.
Yeah, I think we all get a little bit of imposter syndrome around successful people, right? But they started where we were at one point. But yeah, it's even in our small startup community here in Las Vegas, I get a little bit nervous around some of the really successful founders that I get to talk to, and they're in a lot of cases they're younger than me because I did my 20 years in the Air Force, and I've certainly had a successful career doing that. But I get a little imposter syndrome and a little starstruck with some of the really talented people who've built companies here in Vegas.
Well, it's just amazing when you get the feedback and they're telling you it's such a good idea and they want to be a part of it because they know it's going places. So that's really exciting.
It's a good feeling, and I hope they're also being honest about the parts that are going to be hard and
Yeah,
how you're all going to need to step up to really make it work.
absolutely.
So you're doing the interviews. You've got a great board member, and Ian is helping you out with that as well. What are you looking for in your CTO? Or really, what are you looking for anyone you're going to bring on your leadership team?
People that are, I would say, have a solid moral compass, just because with a lot of power comes that responsibility. And this is such a sensitive topic for everybody, and it's really personal for everybody. So I just want to make sure that we keep people in the company who don't make decisions based off of money.
Yeah, I think with what you are trying to provide, trying to bring into the universe right now, I think your competitive advantage will be not only are we doing this and it's going to make us a bunch of money, but we're doing it ethically as well.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So we already talked about Ian. You've already got your CEO in place on your team. You've known him for a while. How did you meet Ian and then get him involved with IDify?
So during COVID, when business was slowing down, I was trying to figure out how to keep the talent working and helping them provide for their families. So I got into film funding, and I was pairing movie projects up with investors. Um, and he brought a movie. Well, actually, he brought a few movies to us. So we were pitching those, and that's how I originally met him. And then I had met up with him again right before I spoke with David Cohen, and he had an opportunity come to him to have his own TV show, and he was looking for representation. And so I think it was just the universe working out that I had just talked to him, and then all this came to fruition, and I couldn't have done it without him.
Yeah, sometimes things just work out. Sometimes the right people you need show up at just the right time. Now, you told me when we talked a couple of weeks ago, you were really glad you made your CEO, your company CEO, a male. Why is that? Because a lot of founders wouldn't have made that decision.
Ian is great at leading a room, and sometimes I get a little bit of stage fright. So he's like the perfect person to be like the center of attention. And also, he's really good at balancing the energy in the room. He's not like one of those men who's a total narcissist that's like all about him. And that's what makes him such a good leader, is that he really listens to everybody.
Yeah, he's really great. I got that vibe from him as well when we talked. So how is your professional relationship? What roles do you take on as the founder? What do you let Ian handle as the CEO? How do you work together on those things?
So he really focuses on the tech side and the coding and like those details. And I really focus on bringing him the people that we need to meet to get the business going and scheduling those appointments. And yeah, I'm like the networking, big picture business side of things, and he's really good about all the details.
Okay. Are you the one who's doing pitching for fundraising and to potential clients?
Our first investors I found, so we're pitching them together, but I kind of vet the people and then bring them to him.
So you've still got the strategic big picture, and you build the relationships, and then Ian kind of makes it all happen with the rest
Yes.
of the team.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love strategic leadership. It's a perfect example of staying focused on the big picture and focused on strategy, and then building a team around you to execute that strategy. It's really great.
And we're both such creatives that it's awesome that he thinks of things that I don't think about, and vice versa. So it's really complimentary.
What's an example of something he thought about that you didn't think about?
I would say the way that he has utilized AI to help him with some of the coding. I'm not as tech savvy, ironically.
And I talked to Ian, and I have a couple of engineering degrees, and I talked to Ian about some of this tech a couple weeks ago, and a lot of it's way over my head. So it's a very challenging field with what you're doing, and it's making me up my game to have these conversations. So I'm excited about that. Yeah, it's really great. It's really great how you guys work together. I love to see it. I love to see a team come together and stay focused on the important things. All right, well, let's take a little bit of a break from the serious questions. Let's play a game. Are you up for a game?
Yes.
All right. The name of this game is Rapid Response. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. I want you to respond with the first thing that comes to your mind. Now, you don't need to give me a one-word answer. They don't need to be super brief. You can elaborate as much or as little as you'd like. But we just want to get the first thing that comes to mind and get to know you a little bit in a way that the business questions may not let on for us. Okay?
Ready.
All right. She's ready. All right. Leenda Nicole, rapid response round. Your time begins now. Podcast recommendation.
The CTO podcast with Mehmet.
Okay, plug for your board member. I haven't listened to that or watched that, but I definitely need to check that out because I think it sounds like it's going to be really interesting to me and to this audience. We might have to get Mehmet on here if he's up for it.
Yes, definitely. I'll do an introduction.
I would love that. What's something we should all be aware of when it comes to our own name, image, and likeness?
I would say be really aware of what you're putting to your name. Some of the brands that people are, promoting, like Ozempic and other things that, may have really detrimental effects down the road. So that's for life, and it can affect people that you love.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not in a position where I'm getting brand deals like that for any of my content. But I do remember when I was in the Air Force, when I was an ROTC cadet in college, the very first week, they give you these uniforms, they show you how to wear these uniforms, and then they say, don't ever say or do something unless you want people to read about it back then it was read about it on the front page of the New York Times. But that was really great advice that stuck with me my whole life, and I'm a little astonished how a lot of people either haven't gotten that advice or have ignored that advice.
Yeah, now every text message is basically public information.
Yeah, our lives are much, much more public than they were even 10 years ago. So, who is someone, speaking of public lives, who is someone we should all be paying attention to?
I would say our kids and our elders, not a specific leader. I think as we get in our prime, there's a lot of people who are biased and promoting things to make a living. And sometimes our elders and our kids have the best advice that we don't listen to.
All right. Well, all right, everybody. Good advice. Pay attention to your kids and pay attention to the elders in your life. You'll get a different perspective, maybe a better perspective. All right, don't answer this one yet. You get a choice. what is either your get pumped up song or your walk on music?
I'm a huge fan of backpack rap, so I'd have to say there's a song called Upgrade, and someone made that song for me because I was like, I need a song that I can play when I teach yoga to NBA players that will motivate them, and so they made me a song, and I think it's a great fit.
Wait, what? Did you say backpack rap?
Yeah.
I have never heard of this. What is backpack rap?
It's rap, but with conscious lyrics. Like, there's a rapper called Murs and a bunch of people that are just really underrated. And, you know, it's not so much about guns and drugs. It's like about being a good dad and showing up.
I love it. I'm gonna have to check some of it out. You'll have to send us some references that we can check out and put into the show notes.
Yes.
And that is something we glossed over a little bit in your background. Between the hospital and the modeling agency and starting IDify, and you still are the yoga instructor for the Denver Nuggets, right?
Yes.
Go ahead.
When I graduated from college, I reached out to Steve Hess because during school I was opening a gym at like 4:30 in the morning, and he owned that gym, and so that's how I met him. And a year after I had reached out to him, he responded, "Do you want to be the yoga teacher for the Nuggets? Come audition." And I was thinking nutritionist for the Nuggets because that's what I went to school for. But I had started teaching classes for free just because I couldn't afford the yoga teacher training at the time. And so I showed up, and then they were like, "Welcome to the team," after audition.
All right. I'm gonna jump back to a real question for a second here in the middle of our game. So people who are watching this, just watching for the game, hang in there for a second. How has working with a professional sports team and the leadership team of that, how has that impacted the way you run your companies?
It really solidified like that level of excellence and like the expectation. I know the whole world of pro sports is changing a little bit for our pro players with these college kids getting endorsed now, but I think the level of excellence and like the bar that we all need to set for ourselves.
Yeah, one of the things I really respect about elite athletes, whether you're at the college level or the pro level, or even like the really, really elite high school level, is these are people who understand focus, they understand discipline, they understand excellence, and it permeates every decision they make, every action they take. And if you haven't worked with someone like that, it's incredibly impressive when you finally get to.
Yeah, it was really amazing working with the guys.
That's awesome. All right, back to the game. The biggest influence in your life.
That's hard because there's so many. I would have to say Emilio Romero. I met him when I was 18 doing bottle service because he was friends with the guy who owned that bar, and he was just there all the time and kind of took me under his wing. And he was a pro sports player, and then he became an agent that organized the games between the countries, and now he is really involved in politics, and he's just really guided me in business a lot.
Yeah, he's got a really interesting background because he came to this country when he was very young, right?
Yeah, so he grew up in Colombia and then, got in some trouble, and his dad dropped him off in a plane in Miami. And then he was homeless and hitchhiked to Colorado where his mom was, and then became a pro athlete. So he really did it.
Yeah, I think he's someone else we're going to have to get on this podcast.
Yes, he needs to be on here.
Absolutely. Okay, we're gonna do a little pinky promise. We've got a lot of work to do, booking these guests on here. Besides The Road Less Traveled, a book everyone should read.
Oh my gosh, there's so many. Can I name a few?
You can name however many you want, and honestly, if you want to talk more about The Road Less Traveled, that's fine too.
Actually, let me just pull up my Audible real quick.
You are not the first guest on this podcast to do that when they want to recommend books, is to pull up their Audible.
Let's see. Day Trading Attention with Gary.
Oh, fantastic. I read that when it came out. Fantastic.
So good. This one's for the ladies. To date a man, you must understand a man. That was about not dating guys and trying to save wet kittens. Let's see. How to write a white paper in one day. Let's see. The Oxford Handbook of IPOs. Sales EQ. The Innovators, so good. That talks about like the startup of the computer, and probably one of the best ones I read.
Yeah, that's a great one. And Sales EQ is a great one too. Not many people know that. Sales EQ is an incredible book. Jeb Blunt, you gotta read his books.
Business law contracts. I love everything law. Oh my gosh, I could keep going, but yeah, those are
okay. Well, I think that's plenty of recommendations, especially on the dating stuff. We don't get into dating very much here, but if our guests have good recommendations on how to improve your dating life, I'm all for it. So I lived in Colorado for a number of years. I know how beautiful summers are in Colorado. We're coming up on summer in Colorado. What's the best summertime activity in Colorado?
I would say the Colorado Incline. Have you done that?
I have. I lived in Colorado Springs for 5 years. We used to, back when I was there, it was still illegal to do it. It was still like off limits. What? And they probably about the time I left, maybe a couple of years after, is when they like put it under public control and allowed people to do it for real. But yeah, we did it all the time. We would do it as like a PT exercise for the Air Force.
Yes. Great workout.
Super fun. We've actually talked about it on this podcast with another guest from Colorado, the Waples sisters, who have med spas in Denver. If you don't know them, we should get you guys connected. But yes, it's an incredibly hard workout, especially if you've never done it before. It's real easy to overdo it in the beginning if you've never done it before, which I did the first time. And you're walking up the old Pikes Peak cog railroad path that they built, the first one they built 100 plus years ago.
Yeah, it's really impressive and challenging. So.
It is. It's hard. Even if you've done it a bunch of times, it's hard. Yeah, I miss it. I miss Colorado, but that is a good summertime activity in Colorado. But it's down in Colorado Springs. It's not up by you, so.
A little bit of a drive.
Yeah, not too far. Your dream vacation spot.
That's hard. I mean, my vacations are usually conferences or somewhere where you can learn something and meet new people. So I don't know, anywhere that's outside of Colorado, it's a great home base, but I would say anywhere is a good place. What
is a conference that you're really excited about going to, or one that you'd love to go to, or one that you'd love to speak at?
The Sun Valley Conference. I'm going there in July with one of my best friends. So I'm pretty excited for that one. Also, Aspen Ideas Fest is coming up, so that's going to be awesome as well.
Oh yeah, I forgot about both of those. I should look into, probably not this year, but maybe next year, going to those. So, a future work trend you're excited about?
I would say more traveling and working. I think hopefully as AI helps people, there will be a little more work-life balance. I know a lot of people are working a ton, 3 jobs just trying to survive. So
yeah, I'd love to see that too. I'd love to see, my dream world is one where humans and robots are working side by side together, and humans are doing what humans are good at doing, and robots are doing what robots are good at doing, and then and we aren't bound by this. You've got to work an 8-hour shift or a 10-hour shift. We kind of have objectives we accomplish, and as long as we get them done on time, who cares when you're working, right? Or where you're working.
Exactly.
All right. Last one. Favorite sports team or player?
I would have to say the Denver Nuggets and Wilson Chandler. He definitely had the biggest impact on my life, watching him go through an injury as a pro athlete. So that, and all the other guys on the team, Gary Harris, Jokic, all the ones that I worked with that I feel like I'm cheering for when I watch them.
Do you get to sit on the bench with them at the games?
When I worked with them, I would get free tickets, so I would sit right behind them. But I mean, I still go once in a while. But.
That's awesome. I've been to a couple Nuggets games. It's fun.
Nice.
All right. Well, thank you for playing our game. It's always great to get to know our guests in a little bit different way than the business questions
Thank
let
you.
us know about you. So to get back to it, we started this discussion talking about the problem with agencies and producers and taking audition videos and training AI to create AI generated commercials so we don't need those pesky actors anymore, right? Or those pesky models. If you could sit down with all the agencies and producers out there, what would your message to them be about why they should be using live human talent instead of AI generated talent?
Because not only are they providing jobs and helping people make a living, they're being a part, they're creating history because, people are here for a limited amount of time and you get to capture them in that moment.
Yeah, I I love this story. I love what you're doing with IDify because it's so many tech things we hear about, especially when it comes to like social media or those kinds of things. I find it is putting human beings into a box, right? It's putting people into a, you should look this way, you should sound this way, your content needs to look this way. And what you're doing is really different, right? Your your technology is helping humans get past human limitations and tech limitations. And I really love that.
And keeping the human in humanity.
Yeah. I really love that. So now that you've always been involved with helping talent get work, but with what you're doing with IDify, you're working with SAG. What's that like working with SAG to help human talent, get work, get paid, and get the recognition they deserve?
So, we're working on becoming a SAG franchise agency right now, and we're still building those relationships. I think they're on the right track now. Like with the auditions, giving talent the ability to demand an in-person audition, but there's still a lot of progress to make, and I think we'll see where we are in 3 months from now.
We talked a little earlier about you're the driving force behind strategy at IDify. What have you learned about strategic thinking and turning strategy into action? And were there lessons you learned that made you realize you had to up your game in the strategic thinking area?
I guess my advice for people would be to just start. Like, we're gonna make mistakes. You just gotta pivot a lot, and also bring people on that know things that you don't know.
Yeah, you have to start somewhere, right? You can't just wait forever. So now you've developed IP for this process or for your product, for your service. You have worked with investors. You've really had to up your negotiation skills as part of this journey. So what's the most important thing we should all be thinking about when we go into a negotiation?
I would say it's kind of like dating. Be ready to walk away. Like, everything is not going to be a good fit, but um, don't try to force something if it's not the right fit because there's something else that will be.
Well, I love that abundance mindset, both for business and for dating. I think that's this is the only podcast we've talked about dating twice.
Well, I do. When it comes to business negotiations, I think people do try to bully you, and I've had advice from people who did big contract negotiations for the government, and you just can't back down. Like, you got to go in it knowing what you want and be ready to back it up.
Yeah, there is a lot of in business negotiation. There is a lot of I've got to I've got to dominate. I've got to win, and somebody else has to lose. And the approach of let's find a win-win. Let's find where we all get something together and go do great things together seems to work a lot better.
Yeah, we were interviewing a CTO, great fit, amazing resume, really believed in what we were doing, but he wanted to negotiate a big portion of our company. And I was like, absolutely not. We're still negotiating with other investors. So on to the next. I mean, when there's a line, you do have options.
There's always one in any equity deal. There's always one who wants that big percentage of the company, and Well, that's just how it goes. But you've moved on, and you're finding your way.
And I'm sure with the right person, like we would give them a part of the company, but I think it's demanding too much up front. It's kind of like when people are working in a job and they say like do more than you're paid to do and eventually you'll be paid more.
Yeah, there's something to be said for we will give you more responsibility when you take on more responsibility, and then we will give you even more responsibility and the authority and rewards that go with that, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, there's a I actually was talking to someone um about a week ago, and they were facing a decision of did they want they were being offered equity, but was it a good financial decision for them at the time to take equity instead of cash for their services? And so we spent an afternoon working through that process.
Yeah, there definitely has to be a balance so people can like live and take care of their families, right?
Yeah, and that's a lot of what it was, is because equity that doesn't vest in anything for a couple of years doesn't put food on the table for your kids, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of risk with that too. So,
And that's what we talked about. We talked about the different risks that came along with it and the upside, because with risk there's upside. So you went, as part of what you've done, you went and got patents to protect what you're working on at IDify. You're officially an inventor now. Do you have any advice for other founders on the patent process and developing out that intellectual property?
I would say get a really good legal team. I want to give a shout out to Jeffrey Cass. He's one of the top 50 IP lawyers in the country and really cares about helping small businesses. And I'm just lucky that I got to meet him. And yeah,
That sounds fantastic. So it sounds like don't try to do it yourself, and don't try to do it with Chat GPT.
yes.
As much as we love AI, there are some things you really should go to a human for.
Yeah, there's some things worth paying a professional for.
Yeah, which is the whole point of what you're doing with IDify, right?
Exactly.
So, what are some other tech startups out there that you're excited about?
Um, it's hard to say because there's so many. And some you get really excited about, but you don't know how long they're going to be around. I do think um, some things like Sora and stuff that are AI, they're really cool, but yeah, it's hard to say right now. There's so much happening at once.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, especially in the AI space right now, there's a lot of things that are kind of fun novelties or toys. And I'm not sure how long those are going to be with us. Most of them are probably going to get wrapped up into something else, some bigger thing, and just be a feature in a bigger thing, which is, could be great for those founders, right? Is they might get a good payday out of that, or they might just whoever their competitor is, if they're a bigger fish, might just eat them for lunch, right? So there's a again, like everything, a lot of opportunity and a lot of risk.
Right now, my favorite new tool is Perplexity because I can just ask a question while I'm driving. And it's like Google. It's like having a million different Googles out there at one time, right? So it'll be interesting to see who survives.
Yeah, I'm really interested in watching it. I got signed up for Perplexity, and I haven't actually sat down and tried it yet. And it's been like a month, so I need to. After I get off of this, maybe I'll sit down and play with Perplexity as I'm downloading files today.
Yeah, highly recommend.
So you have a lot of responsibility on your shoulders, you and your team. What's keeping you up at night? What's the biggest challenge you're facing right now, and how are you tackling it?
For me personally, balancing it all because I'm running the talent agency, the tech company. I still have another full-time job that I'm like doing to bootstrap it. And then, starting a family at the same time and like trying to find my person and just like making time for that. Making time to find dates is like really hard.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's you're living what most founders live, right? Is I have this big thing I want to accomplish. It's the number one thing in my life, but I also need to pay the bills, and I want to have at least a little bit of a personal life. And so that balance is hard. What are some of the things you're doing to maintain that balance?
Um, just juggling, making sure to get workouts in, also to like maintain my mental health.
Yeah, I think the workouts are so important. I get a little cranky if I miss a workout. Especially if I miss 2 days in a row, I get real cranky. So it's that's really important to me. But yeah, it sounds like you're finding your way and finding that balance, and it's great that you're being conscious about it. So we talked about some of the conferences coming up. We talked about the big things you have coming up with IDify. What else is coming up for you in 2025?
Let's see. At the end of this month, I'm going to Sherman Oaks for a yoga teacher training. I'm pretty excited about that.
That sounds like it will be a great break for you from the tech world, from the
Yes,
pressure of being a startup founder and dealing with investors and a technical team and everybody else on your leadership team. It sounds like that'll be a great break for you to unplug and just focus on the physical and the mental for a while and not on
yes.
business.
Well, and also when I was teaching the Nuggets, so I taught them for about 2 years, and the last classes that I taught, the locker room was being remodeled. So they moved us to the gym, and there was a ton of people and cameras around, and I got the ips where I like couldn't talk because I got nervous. And so it's really kind of overcoming that public speaking, and I think that'll really help in business too before all these interviews and press stuff.
Well, you have done fantastic with us today. I hope we weren't too much of a threat for you doing this
No, you're
interview
great.
today.
Thank you so much.
I'm glad. So, for everyone watching or listening right now, what's the one step someone should take today if they have a big tech idea that they want to try to move forward?
I would say just start. Like a lot of people say, like you're never ready to have kids. Just start. Fail forward, fail faster.
Uh, that's a lot of the standard tech advice, and it seems to work out for a lot of people. Sometimes you just have to get started. You can't think it all to death. So
Well, and now there's just so many resources that it's going to be a lot easier to do things than it used to be.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, this has been great. Thank you for joining us today. Where can everyone find you so they can thank you for being with us?
Um, my let's see, website CatheXisTalent.com. My email is Leenda Leenda at CatheXisTalent.com. And then my Instagram, there's at CatheXis Talent and at Just One Leenda is my public one.
And we'll get all of that into the episode description of the show notes and linked up on social media, so you guys don't have to write that down or try to look that up. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I want to thank everyone for watching and listening. If you found this conversation helpful, go ahead and share it with someone who could use it. Leave us a comment. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you're on a podcast platform where you can leave a review, please leave us a 5-star review. It really helps build our audience and get great stories like Leenda's out to an even bigger part of the world than we're getting to now. So go ahead and do that for us. We've got lots more amazing leaders coming your way. Get out there, do great things today. Onward and upward.